You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Franklin.
Franklin to Zylstra, touchdown Eskimos.
I'm entering a sadness spiral.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Here's Mike Riley, takes the drop, waits and throws, and he's going deep downfield to Darius Bowman. Oh my goodness, what a catch by Darius Bowman. You won't see many better than that. Pressure's coming. Oh, Levi Mitchell goes down. There's a big play for the defense. Somersaults for everybody.
We're back. Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 115 of the Eskimo Empire Podcast. It is the season 4 premiere, and my name is Andrew. I am joined, as always, by Superfan Mike.
I don't know about always, but it's been a while.
I
feel like I need to introduce myself to both of you.
That's a very good point. Returning to the Turf District for a long time, it is Superfan.
Finally off the IR, off the 9 game. So.
Welcome back. I'm glad
9 a week.
Something like that.
It's been a while.
It was at least that.
Yeah.
And also, of course, the rest of the team is here as well. Web Mistress Kayla. How are you?
Hola.
You're doing well?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
See,
she's very chatty.
We are talking about Coco.
That's true. We were talking about Coco before we started. There's some, the movie. I mean, and chocolate. Yeah.
Mostly,
we got Star Wars chocolates.
It's true.
This is fantastic. Thank you, Jedi. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Now, before we get started, remember you can find all of our information on our website, eskempire.ca. And of course, we are a proud partner in the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Sure.
Boy, we have some fun stuff to talk about here. We thought it was an off season. Not so much. We have a few things to chat about.
We do.
So we're going with a little bit of a new format with the podcast this year. We're going to go with a little bit more Esks talk, a little just more real talk, a little less editing, make it a little more fun.
A little conversational.
Exactly. One of the comments that I heard a few times at the Grey Cup was, leave some of the mistakes in because it's funny. And we're going to do that.
Outstanding. We don't make mistakes.
We just laugh.
Never.
Yeah, so make sure that you send us your feedback on what you think. Let's start with the most important news, which is, of course, Westivus 2018, our off-season Westivus party, January the 19th at First Round downtown, 11248 104 Avenue. It will start at 6 o'clock and go until whenever. I am fired up about this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great for those of you 9 to 5 or Monday to Friday. Friday night, finish off work, head on down and join your fellow Esks fans. And we'll all be there. It's going to be a great time.
The party ain't gonna stop.
That's right. And Kayla's bringing the photos, so everything will make it on the website. Well, not everything.
No. I have my blackmail.
And yet she won't be in any of them. That's not right.
I guess that'll be the phone cam on the side.
That's right.
The really bad photos.
That's right, yeah. After too many Qui-Gon Jinns, we're all lying on the floor. That'll be fantastic. There will be cake. There's going to be prizes.
Prizes?
Oh, I know. Isn't that exciting? There is going to be, hopefully, our winners from this past season. I know our Empire Points winner, Shelley, will be there for sure.
Fantastic.
And I'm hoping that both our fantasy and pick'em winners, which of course is Nicholas and Chris, I hope they're able to come as well, and then we can get everybody their prizes. Hopefully get a group picture. I think that'd be just awesome. I mean, I want to thank everybody who listens to the show on a regular basis, but it is really cool when you get those people who have got to the end and they get a prize, and we like to get everybody together.
Yeah,
so,
yes,
absolutely.
Sir.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. So make sure you're coming out on that night. Now, we have lots of Esks news to cover today for, like I said, the supposed off-season. Of course, the biggest news You heard the title off the beginning of the show. Yeah, Brandon Zylstra has gone to the Vikings.
It's true.
It's
good for him.
No, you know what? It is. It's very good for him.
Yeah, it's good for him, and I think I said it in the Periscope, I think it's good for the league. It just shows that people in the United States, that there's some great players in our league, and they get to show it in the biggest stage of all now.
Absolutely. And one of the cleanest route runners I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know you meant catching the football, but I know you...
Of course I did, but I don't know what you meant.
That's right. That's right. That is what you meant, right?
Yes, catching the ball with his hands.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure.
Because you can't catch footballs with your face.
No, we say that quite a bit here.
Please don't. He's got a beautiful one.
There it is. That's the one I was waiting for.
I don't want the hands, but the face is lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Brandon, I mean, I wish him all the best. And as it turns out, I feel like I've now become a Vikings fan. And if you watch the Periscope, exactly. Again, yes.
Took a break.
Warren did play for the Vikings, and I did follow the Vikings closely at that point. Yeah, well, I do like Warren. Yeah.
G. Harding?
No. That would be
former president,
Mr. Moon. Yeah. And then I did follow when it was Dante Culpepper even, and that was kind of but I still watched. Yeah. And then I kind of got away from NFL. But, Brandon going back down there, I was kind of reignited in the purple colors.
Yeah, for me it was Fran Tarkenton when I was a kid.
Is that right?
Yeah, from That's Incredible.
Yes. Almost was an Eskimo, right? No. Almost was. Yeah. Yes. And then ended up down in the States.
He wanted to be, and they were like, no.
No.
Why do you want that? This is the 60s. We had so many great quarterbacks in the 60s.
We were loaded.
We'll be talking
his name
about
was
those
Fran Tarkenton.
Tarkenton.
That sounds like a sick name. I am Fran Tarkenton.
Sounds like a Simpsons name, doesn't it? I like that clip, though. I'm going to save that one. I am Fran Tarkenton. We'll use that for whenever we come up across an interesting name. Yes. I do like that one, too. Of course, the other big news, I don't want to underplay this at all, but of course, the trade of one Mr. James Franklin to the Toronto Argonauts. He went along with a third-round draft pick from the Eskimos, and in return, the Eskimos receive offensive lineman Mason Woods, who is...
Just a wee slip of a man.
Oh, he's just tiny. I think that'll be his nickname on the show. Tiny.
Yeah, Tiny.
Tiny Mason.
Tiny Woods.
Tiny... Well, I like that too.
There you go.
That's almost an oh my moment.
There it is.
Tiny Woods joins the team, 6'9", 324 pounds. So yeah, we don't mind guys like that.
And apparently a good beard.
Really?
So I've been told.
All right. Well, it's good to know these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
He could do this with me, whew.
I have no idea what that has.
The best part is nobody's going to know what you did, and they're just going to hear that. That's fantastic.
Just
cut.
That is so good. I do like that.
pick me up like I'm nothing.
Oh, is that what that hand
That's
is?
what it was.
Well, it was spinning, but
You're not helping. I'd stop now if I were you.
Just grab that shovel and keep digging.
Yeah, love it.
Story of my life.
So, yeah, Mason Woods, I don't know. I think overall, we got a guy who, if we already had that 10th CFL team, he would have been in the first round.
Yeah, he was a 10th overall pick. He was apparently on our scouts board as a first rounder.
Yes.
So anytime you can basically turn a third rounder into a first rounder, we'll take it.
Yeah, which basically is what it is, because Brock had said in his interview afterwards that he had sat down with James and had conversations, and James basically was very clear if he wasn't challenging to start, then he wasn't going to stay. And so that basically spelled the end of that. So basically we knew we weren't going to have Franklin here, which we had talked about all last season. I had kind of had lots of time to mourn and kind of wrap my head around it before the announcement came. I won't say that I didn't shed a tear after I did read the news.
Yes.
And the jersey has moved over to the alumni side. So that was a little painful, but I will get over it. I did
At least by the time you're 70.
It's somewhere in there.
You never know, though. It's not necessarily the end.
And that's the thing that I kind of thought about. I did wish our good friend Lori, Argo Diva, congratulations, because they were receiving not only a great quarterback, but an amazing gentleman. Yeah. Both him and Kayla are amazing people. And I know, even as a family and as people in the community, there really are not many better people that I've been able to meet through the CFL.
Yeah.
And so I really think that's... Absolutely. He was one of the very first to sit in this room and tell us about coming through all the U.S. and coming up to here, and had some great stories for us and had a lot of fun. And so I do wish him all of the best. I'm glad we did get something in return. And if you think about it, he signed a 2-year contract. So in 2 years, when Mike starts going possibly the other way, well, there's always a spot. I mean,
there always is.
There's
How
always
old is
a
Mike
spot.
now?
He's going to be 34. I thought he's turning 34 right before the season. Isn't that right?
Sounds right.
I believe that's right. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But that same day, of course, the Eskimos sign Eli Jenkins.
Or at least announce it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good
entirely
point.
possible they had that one in the drawer waiting to go. So,
entirely true. Now, Did you get a chance to look at his highlight reel?
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. He's a running quarterback.
Yes,
someone that definitely can move that ball. We haven't had someone really like that in a long time.
Yes,
basically since Ricky Ray. So,
he's such a runner.
So
that's right. Yeah, runner in 5-yard circles. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Running away from the coming at him.
Yeah, he did a lot of that.
It'll be interesting to see. I didn't see as much of his arm strength, which is a little more important in the CFL with a much wider field and longer end zones and everything else. So we'll see how he does. We need to have at least 4 or 5 quarterbacks for training camp, so I anticipate we'll assign at least 1 more, if not 2 more.
Yeah.
We still have Zach Klein. We still have O'Brien and that other guy, 13, whatever his name is.
I don't know. He's all right.
Yeah, he hasn't proven himself much. So
no, he may start. Who knows? I mean, if he doesn't get cut. That'll be good. Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is we know Riley's the starter, and everyone else is just totally auditioning for solid green and gold dancer.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. I already let Zach Klein know on Twitter that he should really work on his dance moves.
Yeah. Danny needs a partner.
Danny needs a partner. That's
hashtag Danny needs a partner.
That is the hashtag for this show. Hashtag Danny needs a partner. And it could be Eli Jenkins. Now, here's another thing, because, of course, across the league, that really started the quarterback musical chairs game.
Right.
And Zach Collaros goes to Saskatchewan, which then means Kevin Glenn gets cut out of Saskatchewan. Brandon Bridge comes back.
Glenn.
Do we actually see Kevin Glenn get the bingo and come here as the insurance policy?
But why?
Well, thank you.
The reason is because who is going to back up Mike Riley that the team is going to believe in? I don't think that O'Brien is that guy.
But who would believe in Glenn? Like, no offense to him.
But he's at least done something in this league.
He has. He's thrown for 60,000 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, he would fit an offense that is throwing the ball if he can get protection.
I don't necessarily want him here. I think
I don't want him here because I don't want Mike Riley to get hurt.
Exactly.
I don't believe in that
curse of the Kevin Glenn. But then not only that, but then he's going to have to sign a 1-day contract with the Atlantic Schooners just so he can have that 10th team.
That's very true.
So,
in the dispersal draft, he'll get picked first overall, and then Henry Burris will go there and he'll get kicked out.
Right. It's almost like that happened with Ottawa.
You don't think he'll just hang up his jersey?
Glenn?
Not if he can't get all 10 teams.
I don't think he's quite ready for that. No? I think he would still take a backup role. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I thought they were all the...
He's been a backup for years. The problem is everyone keeps getting injured, so he goes in.
Here's the other scenario. Franklin gets traded to Toronto, does sign a 2-year contract. Ricky's a free agent in February.
Yeah, Ricky's already said, though, that if he comes back to play, it's going to be for Toronto.
Okay, but what if he comes back here in a coaching role?
Well, it's certainly possible. I think I talked to Dave Campbell on Twitter about it. What if he said, okay, well, we're going to have you as almost like a player coach?
Right, yes.
Not only that, but you could always come back just as a coach. And then if there's an injury that happens, then all of a sudden he gets signed to a contract and away he goes.
Right.
Because he could still be a starter at that point if Riley goes down. I mean, if Fantuz can be an employee of the Tiger Cats for most of the year last year and then come back to play, then why not Ricky Ray?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what about Kevin Glenn wouldn't go to Montreal?
Well, he's been there a few times. Of course, he's been to Saskatchewan a few times before, too.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough to say. I mean, there's still some pieces to fall, but the musical chairs are running out.
Yeah, I just don't see a point in why here and why everyone's...
Because he's got to be a backup. I mean,
the other part is for success in the CFL, you really kind of do need a 1 and 1A.
Yeah,
that tends to be the case, right?
So the question is, who is that?
Who is the 1A for us?
No one has any experience, right?
Right.
I mean, O'Brien's got a couple of games under his belt when he was with Ottawa.
Right.
Zach Klein had a great throw.
One great throw. Yeah, exactly.
And run.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
He's a running quarterback.
So, yeah, who knows? And is that Eli or does Brock have somebody else completely?
Yeah.
Entirely possible.
Right?
I like those kind of moves where you're just like out of left field. Huh?
I just don't want it to be like a Drew Willie or...
Right. Yeah, no, we don't need any Willie on this
Joseph.
team. Yeah, I would never stop if that was the case. He cannot be on this team. I would no. My 13-year-old brain cannot have that happen. It would never stop.
Nope.
No one would listen to the show anymore because it would be constant Willie jokes. All right. Let's move on to other things. Before all this other stuff happened, the schedule for 2018.
Outstanding.
Wasn't that amazing coming out before Christmas?
So many great things. I don't understand why the schedule didn't come out earlier than it did in February. If you can have it before Christmas, people can maybe get season tickets or at least ticket packs for Christmas.
Absolutely.
I don't know, at least at my work and a lot of people I've talked to, that you can start booking your vacation in January 1st or 2nd as the case may be. So now we have the schedule. We know when those things are, and you can book your vacations knowing, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people's spouses may be thinking that's the reason we're booking our vacation then, But, it's a bye week. Come on, hon.
Exactly. It's very important to go there.
That's why I had to wait.
Exactly.
So I'm very happy with that. Thank you, Eskimos.
Exactly.
And a day before everyone else.
Yeah. Well, PM, AM. It's really, really hard.
It's really tricky.
It's a tough
I don't mind.
So, yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. It's okay. It was a little
But there's
funny.
an opening at the end.
Haters gonna hate.
It was a little funny. Yeah, that's true. So we start Sunday, May 27th versus Saskatchewan. That is our preseason game, a Sunday 3 p.m. game.
Interesting.
So that to me means we have a tailgate starting at basically noon on a Sunday.
Lunchtime.
Boy, I can tell you how excited I am about that.
That's going to be fun.
It is. I am going to be sucker punched up before we get into that game. Let me tell you. Holy cow, that's going to be fantastic.
I don't drink anymore. I don't drink any less either.
Good. Well done. Yeah. I think we might have to make Qui-Gon Jinns, though.
There's always good possibilities.
Yes. I'm excited about that.
The Horseman? Is that who introduced you to the Qui-Gon Jinn?
Actually, it was kind of Ryan, because what happened is Ryan and I went to a bar in Ottawa.
Oh, right.
And there was a video game bar, and they had this drink called the Qui-Gon Jinn. And then I asked the guy, what is in this? So he showed me how to make it. So I'm like, perfect. And
I was racking my brain to try to find like a Kylo Ren
drink.
What
would have to be red.
Yeah, wine though, like.
Because he does wine a lot.
But like it's Qui-Gon Jinn.
I know.
But like Kylo
wine?
Kylo rum? Yeah.
Kylo rum.
There we are. Done.
Just as long as it's not cream of Kylo, I'm okay with it.
That's right.
All right, that's good. Now, anything else in the schedule that kind of jumped out to you or anything that was interesting for you?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that it starts so much earlier. The fact that we're going to have a training camp a couple of weeks earlier, we could be seeing snow on Fan Day because it is going to be around that sort of May-long weekend.
Can I tell you?
Please.
I need to tell you this. I booked a trip.
You sure did.
On Fan Day?
With my family, and I thought, well, we'll be fine. I'll book it in mid-May. We'll have lots of time because training camp starts at the end of May. I'm realizing now I am likely going to miss the beginning of training camp. And my wife looked at me and said, "Oh, I'll go by myself." No, it's fine. I will still...
She's like, dang it.
I'll still find my way onto that Disney boat. That's important.
As he's Skyping the rest of us.
That's right, exactly, yeah. Take me with you. Send me a periscope. What am I doing? It'll be very interesting that it starts so much earlier. I do think it's cool. The schedule seems to be fairly evenly balanced. We do get a Thursday game this year, which is fine. I think, to be fair, it's one Thursday game. It's in the middle of the summer when it's nice. Take the Friday off, come to the tailgate, enjoy the game, go home, sleep it off. I think that's going to be fun.
Sure.
I do think it's interesting for us because both between home and away, we have 3 Thursday games in a row. So it'll be interesting for the watch parties too, right? So that'll be kind of interesting. I do like that as the season gets later, our games get earlier.
Right.
So in the summertime when it's gorgeous and you have
daylight longer.
Yeah. And it's hot in the evenings, you have your later games. Later in the season, when you know it's going to get colder in the evenings, it's actually more in the afternoon.
Definitely more family friendly.
Absolutely.
Is Labor Day at 2 or 1?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. And I do say, like, at the end of the season here for us, we have the Calgary game. The return game is at 5. The 2 weeks later on a Saturday, it's at 5 versus Winnipeg. 2 weeks later on a Saturday, it's at 3 versus Ottawa. And 2 weeks later on a Saturday, it's at 2 versus Winnipeg. So it just gets that little bit earlier, but that's 4 games in a row that families...
11 o'clock tailgate.
I know. Families can get started, right? So I like that idea of being able to bring more options to families to come to the games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'll be really, really good.
Yeah.
And I'm also, kind of excited about the fact that, well, I don't know if I'm excited about it. I haven't really decided yet, but Labor Day is now later in the season.
Yeah.
So Labor Day is actually happening in week 11. So it's not that midpoint to the season.
Oh,
it's a little
week 11,
after.
but it's the first, basically, because it's a 20-week season.
Right.
So it's basically the first game of the second half of the season. So I don't see that being a big problem because you have 1 to 10, then 11 to 20.
So we have 10 games, then the Labor Day game, and then 8 games left.
Right.
So it's a little different. Remember, and especially if they talk about moving the season up even more.
Yep.
Now we're looking at
14,
Labor Day being, exactly, like
the big push
14.
to the playoffs. Yeah.
So does Canada Day weekend now become?
It's still going to be a little early, I think. That's going to be
or August long
5.
weekend.
Yeah, I think that's
does that now become more of that? Change, where they say the season starts in Labor Day.
Right.
So I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Labor Day thing, certainly the rematch is a recent thing when it comes to comparatively to the history of the Empire. We're talking 1989, 1990. That's kind of when we started doing the rematch thing. And I don't know. I think the dates are a little fluid. I'm more of a traditionalist. But the fact is the Grey Cup used to be always in December.
Yes.
And the Grey Cup used to always be on Saturday. So things change, and we'll see how it goes. I prefer not moving it around. I think you were at the Grey Cup in that beautiful snowstorm. It looked great on TV.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's part of the Grey Cup itself. If this was so important that we didn't play games in the snow, why are none of the prairie stadiums covered?
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that's covered is one that's the nicest weather.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can't have the Grey Cup in BC every year.
No, they used to every second year, but yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. All right, a couple other notes before we take a short break here. So a couple of departures other than Zylstra and Franklin. Coach Crehan was going down to the States. So we are looking for a new defensive line coach. And Scout Torrey Hunter, not a surprise at all, goes to join Ed Hervey.
Yeah, just so good friends.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate. I mean, obviously they played together.
Yes.
They've known each other a long time, but we're talking about a guy that brought a lot of guys on that wall here in the Turf District to the team.
Yes.
He's responsible for finding a lot of these guys in that sort of Pacific Northwest. And our loss is definitely BC's gain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you have to know, I mean, Ed's going to turn that BC team around, and he's got to get guys that can help him do it. And
it may not be this season, but it's going to be soon.
Absolutely.
Good sniper.
Yes, now the Esks did make some signings as well. They extended, of course, Mr. Money,
yes.
Sean White.
Thank God.
They did extend CJ Gable.
2-year deal. That's surprising.
That was a little surprising.
Most players
You
are
must
only
really
doing
like
1-year deals because the CFLPA expires after the season.
Yes.
So they have no idea what the landscape's going to be like, so they're only signing 1-year deals. So anyone that signs a 2-year deal, that means something.
Yeah,
He just glowed with his comments on this team. So
we're actually using him.
yeah.
What is that like?
We're a
Running
family.
the ball, the heck you say?
Exactly.
Success? What?
You're so retro.
Yes. Well, and we did re-sign a couple of offensive linemen in Colin Kelly and D'Anthony Batiste.
Yeah, which is great to see D'Anthony's still back.
Yeah.
Yeah, D'Anthony,
Yep.
there's still a spot for you in the Turf District if you ever
He
want to
will
come. Just barely, but he could come tell us stories. We would love to have that.
Look way up.
Look way. Well, no, that's Tiny Woods.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He is going to kick our... Anyway.
Probably, but it's going to be fantastic.
I'll have my camera ready.
Yeah, perfect. That'll be a great picture to put up on the Turf District wall. Me getting
Or
punted
bring-
across the field. Wonderful.
Bring to the
By
trial.
Tiny
Okay.
Woods. All right, let's take a very short break, and we will come back for the new Esks by the position and more off-season speculation. You can join the Empire online. Find us at eskempire.ca. All of our social channels are there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, plus our blogs, extra pics, and the link to our Patreon page. You can also get more history at Esks History on Twitter and This Day in Esks History on Facebook. From the Empire team, thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back from not going anywhere. It is now time for the brand new segment, the Esks History Moment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on the beat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome along to a new version of the Esks History. We decided to change things up a little bit with this day in Esks History, or this week in Esks History. There ended up being a lot of repetition after you've done it a couple of times, and when you're doing it a third time, it kind of starts sounding really familiar. It's like, didn't we talk about this last year?
Yeah.
Maybe the year before.
Possibly.
So we're going to look at doing Esks History Moments now. So we're maybe going to be looking at a game or maybe a date in history, just not necessarily that happened at this point. The other things we're going to look at are maybe do a biographies on some players. We're going to look at some existing memorabilia that's out there, or anything that's Eskimo related, and we're just going to be able to sit and talk about it and give our thoughts. So we thought we'd start off this week. We're looking at some of the music and audio that's out there that is Eskimo related. Starting off with everybody's favorite 5-day trial.
Yikes.
This is a 45 that came out in 1978. It featured 5 of the Edmonton Eskimos. First year, Brian Fryer. Last year, Eskimo George McGowan. Some guy named Dan Kepley. I don't think he stuck around very long. Tom Towns, linebacker, and Don Warrington. Brian Fryer was, like I said, a rookie with the team, just joining in 78, and he actually had a pretty decent voice and could sing. The other guys were just kind of there to hold him up because they'd been all drinking, doing the doo-wahs and all that. Yeah, not even. They did put out a 45. It's sort of country rock-ish.
Music-ish.
It's sort of... it's just a couple of football players having a good time. So if you get a chance, I know you can find them at garage sales, antique malls, that kind of thing, eBay. Pick it up, give it a spin. It looks good on the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For all of us that have record players.
Exactly. So let's just slip something in here. This is a little snippet of 5 Day Trial.
You used to love me not so long ago. You used to love me not so long ago.
I used to love to say you were mine, tell you I loved you all of the time.
You used to love me not so long ago.
Well, that was wonderful, wasn't it?
Ouch.
Yeah, that was great.
Wonderful?
It was.
I thought you said.
It was wonderful. It's because it's not wonderful and it's not fun.
No.
So let's just make up a word and we can say whatever it is.
Hashtag funderful.
Yeah. So, you know what? It was, like I said, it's them having some fun. It's not the big seller in the stores in 1978. Yeah. I don't even know how you got it back then, but I managed to track down a copy, and it's been played a couple of times, and that's about it.
Excellent. So, well, and I think that's the second time on one of the podcasts. So we'll...
Yeah, after we had Anto and Lulu on.
Yeah, so we'll hold off now for at least a year. Yeah.
At least a year.
Yeah. I hear if you hold Kleenexes to your ears, they will stop bleeding after a short while. Yes. Okay.
So the next thing we're going to look at, it's a record that came out after the 1982 season. It's called A Ring for Every Finger. This is a spoken word record, LP, that came out. It's sort of a recap of the 1982 season and sort of goes from the beginnings where we were not doing very well after winning 4 in a row. We were 3-5 and in last place after Labor Day. Wow. And then Hugh Campbell basically stepped forward and said, anyone that doesn't believe we can win 8 in a row and get to the Grey Cup, cross this line, we'll pay your checks, and you're out of here. They won 8 more in a row, won 2 in the postseason to win their 5th Grey Cup in a row. It's spoken by Brian Hall, everyone's favorite mouth that roared. And it's, like I said, it's about 35 minutes, and it's an interesting listen to sort of hear what it was like at the time. Kind of fun. We'll put a little clip here, and you can sort of hear how it sounds.
In 1982, the Edmonton Eskimos further established themselves as one of North America's greatest football teams of all time by winning the Canadian Football League Championship for the 5th consecutive season, and in the process put themselves on a level of success that may never again be seen. The man who played a major role in the building of this dynasty was head coach Hugh Campbell, known as Gluey Huey during his playing days with the Saskatchewan Roughriders because of his sure-handed receptions. Campbell took over the Eskimos as head coach in 1977.
Yeah. I like Brian. I didn't mind listening to him.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you knew it was an Eskimo game. I mean, he's no Morley.
Yeah, he really isn't.
But no one is. But no one is. But I do think that I do enjoy his voice. I remember listening to it when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So
he was the voice of the Eskimos for many years on the radio.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then lastly, we're going to look, the oldest one in this group is the 1967 album called CFL Songs. And any one of you that's heard the Eskimo Fight Song will recognize this album because that is where it comes from.
Awesome.
So it's kind of a fun record. It's got one for all 9 teams, plus 3 extra ones like the Day of the Grey Cup and Grey Cup March. And football is fun.
Football is fun. Is it funderful?
It is funderful.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
So everyone had their own team. The lyrics for the Eskimo Fight Song were written by Peggy Miller, who was a CJCA employee. She also wrote the lyrics for Roar You Lions Roar, which is the BC Lions.
Isn't that a conflict of interest?
You'd almost think.
Yeah, you'd think, yeah.
But most of the music was fight songs from other universities. Washington and Lee's Swing is the Eskimos' fight song. If you ever get a chance, try and track that down and give it a listen. And it's just a real surreal experience hearing the fight song and thinking, those aren't the words. But anyway,
funny.
there are lots of different things out there. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have got a couple of records out there. I think Saskatchewan does as well. These can be found usually in garage sales for not very much money. So if you ever see one, pick one up and add it to your collection.
That's pretty cool. And I know with the songs off of the fight song album,
The CFL songs,
CFL ones, I mean, a lot of us as podcasters just, relate to those songs, know those songs, and use them.
Yep.
I know for the Horsemen, they use Ye Men of Calgary.
Right.
And I know Brian for BC Lions does use the Roar You Lions Roar when he's going to talk about the game, which is funny because every time now that BC Lions score a touchdown, they play that song, and I think, oh, it's BC Lions Den time. I'm getting all excited. And, so it's kind of cool that there is that kind of throwback that a bunch of us use that that leads to some of these ones that we know. So
yeah, well, I mean, I was watching the 1960 Grey Cup a while back, and that was in Vancouver. And Dal Richards, who did the record, CFL songs, he was the band leader for the BC Lions for decades.
Okay.
And he was there, and they started playing the Eskimo fight song. So
that's really cool.
I don't know if that was the fight song at the time or if he just happened to play the Washington and Lee Swing.
Yeah,
but it was just interesting with the Eskimos playing, hearing the fight song.
So does any other team use their fight songs? Because I know we do before the fourth quarter.
Well, the Roar Your Lions Roar, they do play it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, after every touchdown.
Yeah, Hamilton did for a while.
Oh, don't they sing like that?
But now they
Oski BB.
Yeah.
That's they were using that long before. That was
okay.
Yeah, that was back when Pigskin Pete first came in, like in the 20s or 30s.
Okay.
It goes way back. I don't know I certainly don't think Toronto uses it. Montreal doesn't.
No.
Ottawa obviously wouldn't because it's not the
Right.
Rough Riders anymore. And even the Rough Riders, I mean, it's on Rough Riders, which was basically on Wisconsin.
Yes.
Fight song that it's changed. They don't really use because they use green as the color. So.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah. But,
So,
but it's still kind of cool. Well, we better put a clip of that one in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're cheering, fight, fight, fight on Eskimos. We're marching right on Eskimos. We're charging down the field for all to see and shouting, rah, 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 fight on to victory. We're fighting on till every game is won. The green and gold is gold, and when we're done, we'll tell the world we're proud of Edmonton and the Edmonton Eskimos.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. I like these Esks moments. I like to have a little bit of conversation about the stuff that's happened and different moments in history. It's wonderful.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'd love to hear some feedback from anyone, hear what they think, what they'd like to see or hear on the upcoming podcasts. Maybe something that they have a memory of. Maybe you're a former player. Maybe you're just a fan that saw the game. Maybe it's somebody you've heard of you'd want to know more about. Just let us know.
Awesome. And I mean, for those ones where you're talking specifically about a game or a player or whatever, we'll kind of throw back to this day in Esks history because I really did like the delivery of that, but we'll change it up every week, have a little bit more fun with it. So.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
Awesome. Now, another thing that we are going to have fun with this off season is the brand new poll. Sorry, Kayla, not Twitter poll. I know you got all excited there. This is a poll that we did last year. Of course, we did the Esks by the numbers to pick the top players with each number. And we'll probably have to revisit that in a couple of years, I think so, because we have new guys that come through. But this year, we're doing something a little different, Superfan.
Yeah, we are. So, like Andrew just said, we did the Esks by the numbers and had a lot of good reaction to that. I think everyone had a lot of fun looking back at some of these players, but some of them went pretty far back.
Absolutely.
And we're talking back in the 49 and the 1950s. And quite a few of those players actually won, obviously.
Yeah.
People like Jackie Parker, Normie Kwong, Rolly Miles,
Absolutely.
Johnny Bright.
Yeah, Tommy Joe Coffey.
Exactly. So these are the players, but we decided this year to keep it similar, but get people more involved. We're doing the Esks by position. So every 2 weeks, we're going to be giving you a list of players by a specific position, asking you to vote. unlike last year where everyone got one vote, for these you're going to have multiple votes because we're going to make almost like a roster of players, or a game day roster. So the first one up is going to be the quarterback position.
We didn't have anybody good at that position.
Yeah, we didn't have, so you're going to have to go through it and just randomly pick. So you'll get to pick 3 names for your favorite quarterbacks from 1975 to present. We're going to get those results, and then every 2 weeks we'll give the result of who won, as well as the backups for that position, and then we'll announce the next position that we're going to be voting on. As well, we're going to be giving you sort of who we thought was the best from 1949 to 74. So we've talked to a few people that were around in the 50s and 60s and remember seeing a lot of these guys play. So they'll sort of give you not only their picks, but a little bit of a story of why they picked these people, and maybe inspire something for a future Esks History Moment.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So this week we were doing quarterbacks, and that should be out already as you're listening to this podcast.
Absolutely.
So go in there, place your votes for who you think is your top 3 for your depth chart.
Yep.
And then we will announce those winners in 2 weeks.
You betcha. And there will be a prize, at least for the first one, and probably scattered throughout. We'll be grabbing a few items and putting them out there for you to win.
Fantastic. So lots of reasons to get in front of a poll. I know it's not a Twitter poll, Kayla, but I'm sure you are going to retweet that link like crazy. Yeah. She's into the polls.
Exactly.
Apparently I'm good
I should never have said that out loud.
What, she likes Polish people?
Not the way I took it either, but still, I'm still going with she likes POLLS.
Excellent.
Polls.
They have a really good city, so I really like Warsaw. Jerks.
Come on, that was funny. All right, well, let's see what's to come here. So, of course, we've got free agency on the horizon.
Yep. So is my dignity, apparently.
Probably.
Well, one of us should have some.
I'm glad somebody has something.
I gave mine up for Lent.
Yeah, exactly. Free agency is around the corner now, so it officially opens at 12 p.m. Eastern time.
That's noon for anyone on the Esks site.
a.m. here.
So that would be 10 a.m. here. Correct. Tuesday, February the 13th.
Good to know.
So as it turns out, we will actually be recording the week before and the week after free agency.
That's
so
perfect.
We'll have a good chance to kind of build up as to kind of where the Esks are looking, and of course where they end up going once free agency opens. And it'll give a few days, because what tends to happen, or at least has happened in the past, is you don't see the Eskimos sign anybody until day 2, 3, 5, 6, and that's going to be right when we're going to be talking about it.
So I guess the Lions won't be doing it now.
I'm guessing not. No, unless they really go after Odell, because I mean that's then
that
it's
was
all,
a minute after free agency started.
That's all fair, isn't it? They're allowed to do that. So free agency coming up. Of course, CFL week is in March, so that's the month after. I wish I was going to that. I would love to experience one of these CFL weeks. They look amazing. It's just it's in Winnipeg this year. So
gotta see if I can convince my boss to send me there for that week.
That would be really good. Can he send 2 of us?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
I don't think I'm going, but yeah.
Okay, well, whatever, we can help out. Then of course the next month after that we're looking probably at the draft.
Very exciting.
So I mean, it's amazing. Here we are sitting, second week of January. We're thinking, football season is basically 4 and a bit months away before training camp opens, which is creepy all in itself, which is crazy after you have the break.
Is it May yet?
Exactly. And pretty soon we're going to be saying, is it April yet?
Yeah.
But we've got these big events coming, one every month. So it is really turning into this regular season and business season.
And what are you going to do? Watch the Oilers? Come on.
Why would you? Yeah. That's enough of that.
You can't say anything nice.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. So now I want to float this by you guys, just as an idea, just another conversation topic. Obviously, with the changes and everything that happened, or the way that the season ended up last year, there's a lot of talk about going to one division. Now, I know that, Mike, you are totally, you like the 2 divisions.
I think we had a couple of great Grey Cups back to back that only probably would have happened because of a 2-division system.
Sure, and I'm not against the 2-division system.
Yeah,
I'm not for a 1-division system. I honestly don't care either way. Kayla, what is your feeling on the 2-division system? Because we never actually talked about that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't really care. Just give me football. But at the same time, while the divisions are unbalanced, I think one division would be more beneficial because the West has more than the East in teams. So
for now.
Just for now.
But
exactly,
there's always that cross. Yeah, for now. Well, that's just until that is actually
as soon as that happens, you play everyone twice.
Yes. Now, as soon as that happens, on the other hand, do you still take away the crossover, or do you keep the crossover?
The crossover was put into place because you had teams who had a horrible, horrible record making the playoffs.
Absolutely.
While someone in the other division might have a winning record and still don't make the playoffs.
Correct.
Or don't win.
Yeah, 1981 comes to mind where, I mean, you had teams that were 3
that was well done.
3 and 12 making the playoffs, and teams that are 9 and 9 not making, or at the time 8 and 8 not making it.
Yeah.
Which just seems silly.
Yeah.
So even if you had 5 and 5 for your teams in each division, I think you want to keep that just to make sure that the best teams make the playoffs.
But in saying that, too, that's not necessarily the best team, because when the playoffs start, the regular season kind of goes out the window, because some teams who shouldn't have made it to the Grey Cup do and then end up winning. And it's just like, how?
Yeah, it's definitely the best team on that day.
But I know what you're I know what you're saying. So I am neither against or for.
I mean, ultimately you say, well, why do you bother playing the regular season if that was the case? It's got to be seeding to get in there. So if you can win a lot more games than a couple of teams in the other division, you should make the playoffs.
Yes. Now, this is going to be interesting. I wish I could remember where I heard this so I could give credit. I don't remember if it was Podski BB or Canadian Football Countdown, but there was a suggestion made that the crossover, instead of it being the 4th place team crossing over to take the 3rd place team in the East, if the 2nd place, and I'm just going to say West and East because I'm basing it on this year. It could be the other way, but it hasn't happened for a while. So but let's just say the team that finishes 2nd in the West has a better record than the team in 1st in the East. Mm-hmm. And that 2nd place team crosses over to become the home team in the final.
That's starting to sound like a one division kind of setup. So
it is, but I'm just saying that. Here's what would have, if we did that this year. This is what would have happened. Mm-hmm. So
Winnipeg would have been.
So Calgary and Winnipeg would have got the byes.
Yeah.
Right. We would have hosted a semifinal against Saskatchewan, and Toronto would have hosted a semifinal against Ottawa. Now, if we're really worrying about making it in the playoffs, like you're talking about seeding and getting your playoff money as far as your draw to the stadium and all those types of things, does that not make more? You're still having one team cross over.
Yep.
And you're not taking. Because if you went straight 1 to 8, it would have ended up differently, right? Edmonton would have ended up hosting Ottawa,
right?
So I wonder. It was just an interesting idea. I'm not saying that I love it. I'm just saying that it would be curious to see what you guys think about it.
My question is, who is this actually benefiting? Is this benefiting the league? Is this making it so more people are watching, or is it maybe making it so less people are watching?
I think it's benefiting the team that crosses over.
Yeah, but the team, record, it's going to have those fans of that team. That's definitely going to benefit them, maybe.
Right.
If you're getting the bye, then you're certainly playing less games as well. So you're seeing your team less.
Right, but you're also getting that rest before you're having...
getting the rest and you're one game away from being in the Grey Cup. I get that.
It gives... Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
My issue is
I
going
would much
to ultimately
rather
hurt the league.
That. Yeah.
This is the Grey Cup is different than the Super Bowl. It's something that's uniquely Canadian, and it identifies with that Canadian fabric. And if you start taking away that East versus West rivalry, and all of a sudden you have a BC versus Calgary Grey Cup, God forbid. Well, BC needs to win.
Right, yes, that's true.
Then all of a sudden, who's watching that? Is that going to really hurt their...
Okay, but then my
viewership?
Argument on that would be, if Saskatchewan made it this year, and it was Saskatchewan versus Calgary, who does that benefit? But we're still doing the crossover.
Right, but they at least have to really earn it at that point. Because you're third place, you've got to travel and win 3 games.
I guess. Yeah.
So that's why.
And I'm just, I just think, and I'm not saying that that's wrong.
Yep.
I'm just looking at it as a matter of if you have a team, because yes, that's giving, in this particular year, it gave the Riders a chance because they did have a better record than that third place team. But let's say it finished where Calgary was way out in front. Winnipeg ends up with
and then choke in the playoffs anyway.
In second, but they do that. If they're in second, but they have a worse record than Toronto in the East, right? Then that same crossover happens where the bottom team goes over, which wouldn't be likely.
That sounds like a lot of math.
But I'm
so if this happens,
I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way where you can get in when one division or the other is stacked and they're doing really, really well, that team that still has an amazing season, where I think Winnipeg did have an amazing season,
still gets the benefit of
they
it.
get
lost to us.
It doesn't seem they did. It doesn't seem. It still, to me, doesn't seem fair that Toronto, with a worse record than almost every team in the West, still got the rest. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering if there's, or even if Winnipeg crossed over in this year and hosted the semifinal,
right?
So then they still have to play an extra game, but they do have that hosting, and then it's. I don't know what the right answer is. I'm just trying to figure out.
Are we trying to fix something that isn't broken?
Yeah, possibly.
Can we just get a 10th team?
That'd be nice.
Even when that happens, though, I mean, we could still talk about crossovers.
Still going to be crossovers, yeah.
One thing at a time, folks.
But if the Atlantic Schooners can have the kind of success that the Ottawa Red Blacks had, that'd be great for them.
Do you think they would stick with the Schooners?
The name, I mean, it has been registered.
I think they registered it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
at least they have the option.
Yeah.
They registered it, so I'd
And
like to see it. They are undefeated.
And
they sure are since 1984.
So would it be the Maritime Schooners
Atlantic?
Okay. But it would be based in Halifax.
Yeah,
most likely.
It'll be much like the Saskatchewan Rough Riders model, where they're based in Regina, but they represent the province. Or
right.
Vancouver,
okay.
Yes.
Except
BC
they're
Lions.
all different provinces.
Yes.
Right, but it's still a region.
It's exactly.
Poor kids.
Yeah.
We love you on the East Coast.
Yeah.
At least I do.
Yeah. So, no, I think that would be, and like I said, it was an idea that was floated that I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
I don't know. To me, the whole East versus West is sewn into that Grey Cup fabric.
You mean the Grey Cup fabric where we played at the end of November? That same Grey Cup fabric that they're going to change anyway? Or it used to be
December. Or,
yeah.
I mean, because it used to be two leagues, right? You had
I know.
Much like the Super Bowl where it was the AFL versus the NFL. And then you had
you just got to remember to dress well for the Grey Cup. It'll be more fun. Bring your poncho if you're going out to a wetter
party in your parka. Hot to huddle.
Dry snow.
No. This year it is bring the heat.
Ironic.
Right. Yeah. I will do that.
You'd think bring the heat would be better if you were playing in October.
Wouldn't it be like bring the chill or something like that,
Well, no, because we want it to be hot when we're here.
Hot to huddle.
Hot.
The atmosphere, not so
party
much
in your parka.
The weather.
Sounds... I do actually like bring the heat better. I'm not even going to get into that. So, all right. Well, we have reached the end once again. Now, what's to come on the pod? In the coming weeks, we've got more alumni coming. Yes. We've got more media coming. We've got some more fans coming. So every 2 weeks, we're going to be more funderful.
That's right.
It is #funderful. #Danny needs a partner.
Yes.
So I think that we are going to have a lot of fun. Every 2 weeks we are going to be here and be talking about the Eskimos and getting ready for this particular season. So I hope you join us. As a little, teaser, one of the alumni that I have set up, I'm not going to tell you the date, but we will be talking to one of the wide receivers that is on the Eskimos Wall of Honor.
Ooh,
and a certain Doug McLean is going to be very excited to listen to this podcast. If you've listened to the past podcasts, you know who we've booked. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you once again, you two, for coming in and chatting with us. Let's do some plugs. Kayla, where does everybody find you?
At Duchess Lombardi on Twitter.
Excellent.
Yes.
And on Instagram?
The Esks Eskimo Empire podcast.
On the first try.
I didn't even look at a sticker.
Fantastic. Well
Didn't even
done.
look at a sticker.
That's perfect. Superfan.
You can find me at 56 Parkies and the history at Esks History.
Wonderful. And of course, you can find us at Eskempire Pod and me at Freepalicious. Make sure, of course, you find us on all of our social channels. You can find all of the links on eskempire.ca, and our Patreon link is there as well. I do want to send out an extra special thanks to all of our Hall of Famers: Turf Toe, Joe B, Bill, Hippie, Brazilian Tie, and Jedi. Thank you so much for all of your help. We're actually looking at possibly upgrading our computer in the Turf District right away, which will give us some access to, some highlights as we are sitting here, and a little more stats and all those types of things, which hopefully will help make the show even better. So our next get-together, of course, is Westivus, and that will be, of course, next week. It is on January the 19th, where we are going to meet at First Round downtown, 104th Avenue, 112th Street.
We're going to be meat?
We're going to be meat. You know what? We're leaving it in. Whatever. This is the new rules. We're leaving it in.
Excellent.
We are going to be meat. We are going to meet at First Round. Oh, gosh.
You're going to really regret this new format.
I'm going to have to do less sucker punch when I'm talking. So meet us there, 6 to whenever we decide to leave. Cake, prizes, lots of football fans, and we're going to be chatting some Eskimos and football.
It's going to be funderful.
It'll be super funderful. That is our word for this year. Funderful.
Get on the Last Jedi, y'all.
Absolutely. Now, after Westivus, that following Monday, we will be recording our annual season wrap-up and off-season chat with the best radio team in the league, Dave and Morley. Woo-hoo. So it's the Vinyl Cafe Pod. And, we will make sure those of you who follow will know exactly what I mean by that. So, as always, our absolutely question, will we see you at the year-end Westivus party?
Absolutely.
For Web Mistress Kayla and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.